Hello, my name is Eleni, and in this video we'll talk about the assumptions that are so powerful with human-centric leading. Now, imagine this context. You're in a team in a very hierarchical organization where there's a VP who is overwhelmed and not able to do what she's responsible for, which is to approve and fund a lot of other projects that the team needs to work on. She's overwhelmed, she has too many priorities going, and she doesn't have a perfect view of what priorities are. She gets too much work thrown at her, and so she's noticing she's becoming a bottleneck. Now, if we look at it from her point of view, this is what she's thinking, feeling, behaving. I can't do it all. I'm frustrated, I feel alone, and I'm the bottleneck. That's my behavior. I don't want it, but I'm creating a bottleneck. Now we can imagine her team is saying the VP should get everything approved so we don't have to wait around and wait for her. Like, we don't have anything to do. We're getting frustrated and disengaged and bored, and we feel powerless because we're waiting for her to approve everything. She gets paid a lot of money. She should figure it out. So this is the legacy industrial model, meaning the model that sees people as replaceable cogs in a wheel. That people are just doing, they're just a title or a function, they're not more. And if they're not doing what they need to do, they're fired, right? So, or they're replaced. It might not be immediately, but at one point people are being replaced, right? Now, let's say people in that context want a better way or a different way to do things. A way where they can bring long-term results that are more powerful for everyone and can tap the creative capacity of each person. Now, in this environment, this one person who's responsible for approving a lot of different projects has a lot of responsibility on their weight and is a bottleneck. So that system, that hierarchical method, doesn't work well. Now let's say they can't change the entire hierarchy of the organization. So they want to change how they collaborate so that they can feel like there's a flow of work. And this is where human-centric leading comes in. Now, what would happen is human-centric leading, major difference between the models that we see out there is that there's an assumption that everyone is good in the sense like good, bad, but they're not bad apples that they either can do something or they can't. It's saying everybody's doing their best within the context of either their mind, how they're thinking, or how the environment is organized. So if then someone says, okay, I'm not going to look at someone as a title or a job or a function. I'm going to see them as a person, how they are, what they need, how they feel, what they wish could happen. I'll take in their whole personhood and then say, how could we modify the context to help that person be more effective? So instead of focusing and blaming a person, we would say, how are we working together that would facilitate everyone feeling more empowered? So with that mindset, this VP could say, instead of saying, I can't do it, oh my gosh, everybody's waiting on me, if this goes on for long, I'll be fired, which takes someone down a bad path or a path of fear and reactivity. Instead of doing that, this person can shift a thought and say, what could I do to help create workflow? Just with that thought alone, the person can feel more open and curious, like, what could I do? The person may say, oh, I'll ask my team for ideas. I don't know necessarily in this moment, but I'll talk to my team and we'll try to figure it out together. Now, in response to this, the team could say, wow, I feel included. I'm now not waiting for one person to tell me what to do, to give me approval or a go, no go for my project. Now I'm included in how do we get all these projects approved? How do we prioritize the work? What do we need to do to feel resourceful and do our best in this context, or do the work we are meant to do? So So the team starts to feel I'm included in the solution. They feel more open and included and appreciated, right? And heard, like they're there. And they're more likely to offer ideas, to search for a solution, to collaborate, you see? And so this different way of thinking allows for different ways of feeling and behaving. And as you learned, hopefully in the triad, videos we have, thought, feeling, behavior, these are all interrelated, interdependent. So you change one and others change. And so slowly from having this context where there's a lot of frustration, you can move to this context where people are more open and curious. Nothing's solved yet, but they have a different mindset. And then they think of solutions from that mindset. And things tend to flow more easily. Now, if we take a few seconds and look at this again, what we see is a major distinction between this way that many teams are organized around, frustration, waiting. Some people would criticize and judge and blame the VP. That's not necessarily needed to create frustration, but that adds to the tension and the animosity or, distaste or one person pitting against each other. Whereas here, people are saying, you know what, we have the same problems, but let's try to figure out what to do. We're still in a context of hierarchy. I, the VP, as an example, still am responsible to my boss's eyes for the whole team, but I don't have to do it all alone because it doesn't work that way. Haven't been able to do it. There has to be an assumption that here, people are good or bad. There's the bad apple theory going on here where there are some bad apples, you get rid of them, and then everything's okay. But that has proven to be debunked. That method or that ideology has proven not to be accurate because you can put 10 people who are motivated, happy, organized, creative, competent in a context where things are bottlenecked because of the way things are organized, and they too could be less effective than they would in an environment where everyone is, working together to get things done. So this assumes people are good or bad and they're replaceable. And the human-centric leading assumes everyone is valuable, and whether or not they do what they're supposed to do or what they signed up for is a function of how the context is influencing them. So instead of say, you're to blame, VP, we say, what could we do to get workflow? And it changes the focus from an individual, blame an individual, to question the context and say, what could we do to shift this, knowing that we're still in an organization that's hierarchical, but we could still modify it between us so that we get the work done in a way that makes us feel good because we love our work, we're committed to it, we want to do our best, and that we can. And so this is based on one assumption about how we see humans. In one, we see them as replaceable cogs in a wheel. In another, we see them with their total personhood, capable, experienced, have skills, also triggers and worries and concerns. And we integrate that all and we say, focus on what could we do to do this better. And so if you'd like to take this away and practice it in your own organization, notice, is there a focus on looking at someone or the other people in the team as their titles or their functions? They should be doing this, they should know better, they should. Or is it a focus of what could we do, all of us together, to help each other do what we are organized to do, to get the work done, to do it in a way that's enriching and interesting and engaging? Thank you.